Okay, good. You grab that over there real quick.
I'm giving you your,
Okay,
yes.
who is here?
It says answer back. I was not sure at the hospital, so.
This is an open house training.
For a little bit and try it and see. I just want to cause problems because I do work night shifts, so there's no big deal. But tonight, I'm gonna go ahead and leave something in that, and before I work tonight.
Yeah.
I work tonight tomorrow night, so I'm sleeping in the morning.
So it will be just a round robin to whoever's participating in that. I mean, it'll be put into our pro coach program and.
How you doing? Running around. Yeah, I got lucky. You know, blind squirrel finds a nut.
I know, right?
I need to get my head out there because I don't have my head out there.
So far, I got nobody in open house training. Yeah, hello.
Where is everybody?
We'll see. I'll stick around for a little bit. I don't know who's, but they may have gotten, how are you doing?
Me?
Yeah.
Good. A long day. Here's at 8:30 this year.
Oh, my goodness, you have been here a long time.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back this evening for Sarah's thing at 6. So
What's she doing at 6?
she's picked up a small group training.
Ah,
She's
okay.
having a lender and then trying
Okay, that's great.
to get back a little bit.
Okay, we'll give it a few more minutes. When you go up there,
Contacts list, you said,
Yes, where are you at on that?
oh, I've got, 140 something, now, not loaded, but, so you said I could get a hold of that. What's the name? That's, you know, in my spreadsheet, that's called or.
Lisa, could you do me a favor and have Sarah send out a remind? Because no one's joining the meeting yet. Well, hey, Sarah,
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you a quick question when you come in. I know the bottom row used to be here so you could see like invites and stuff. And it was right there. And it's this up here now, and I can see that, but that's a lookup bar. I don't see any participants or anything. I want to make sure. I'm gonna stick around for a few minutes and we'll just have to do it another day if no one
Well-
shows up.
Okay, I just sent out a thing
I
to
saw it.
remind everybody.
So I feel better. It's not me.
No, you're good. Oh, look, Angela's here. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Angela. How you doing? Okay. So I guess I'll just have to pop with the participants over there. And did you put the attachments in there? Angela, we're just waiting for a couple of minutes. See if anybody else is going to show up right now because we just ran late on another class. So some folks may have tried to join in and couldn't get in, so they may be back. So
Oh, okay.
shouldn't take just a couple of minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
Good. As long as it pops up there. Hi, how you doing? I just want to make sure. So we'll go back to that screen so I can at least see where they were. It's the view square. I think in the top right corner, you get to change it. Gallery view.
Look at
But-
you.
I want to be able to add people as they come along. The one a while ago that we had the add screen.
It should come up here down at the bottom, but now I can't remember how to get that to go away, so that way you can share
Yeah,
your
you can't
screen.
drag it.
No, I can't send it, person.
Well, I don't even see the participants any longer. Oh, mhm.
Jeez.
You kind of close it down. Somebody, yeah, but it should be able to pop up.
Hi, Alicia.
Hi, Adicia, how you doing?
There we go.
How'd you do that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Okay.
I had to look at participants by just clicking the participants, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Now
There
that
we
we
go,
can see the
perfect.
little thing.
Okay, everybody's in.
Yes.
All right, folks, how are you doing? We're gonna go ahead and get started. Just got through with a class. They were running a little bit late. My name is Don Stiles. I've been here with Keller Williams for about 3 years. I do a lot of open houses when there's open houses to do. Right now, because of the market, the open houses are not nearly as frequent as I hope they will be pretty soon. Adicia and Angela, have you ever done an open house before? You can unmute it if you want to answer.
I haven't.
You haven't, Angela? What
No.
about-
I have not.
You have, are you both new real?
I have not as well. I'm a new agent.
Okay, all right, good. Well, this will be kind of cool and new for you. You guys are entering a very interesting time in the market. You probably all know that. That includes open houses because houses are selling so fast these days that a lot of times there's not even an open house. Now, sometimes people will do the open house, but the other thing is the pandemic side of things. A lot of folks simply don't want to have people in and out of their house a lot, but they are still doing open houses. I had a client that looked at a house this past weekend. The house did not need an open house. It really didn't. It had I know it had 4 offers before they even did the open house on Sunday. Who knows how many offers they got eventually. It was a really nice house and they probably got quite a bit of offers on the house. So anyhow, we're going to go through this and it looks like Claudine.
Yep.
All right.
There you go.
I'm waiting for more. Hi, Claudine. How you doing? Claudine, hi. You're not late. We just got started. My name is Don Stiles. I don't know if I've met everybody, but I've been a realtor here for a number of years and have done a lot of open houses. Let's go ahead and go through the open house training. It doesn't take long. Please stop me if you have any questions. You should have some handouts by now, okay? They're attached. They're just a quick 2 or 3 page handout for open house training, okay? One of the first things that you'll see is open house best practices, okay? And I'm just going to read through this and we'll talk a little bit more in depth about the open houses and how you set it up and how you get them and how you actually do those open houses, okay? It says on the suggested schedule, Tuesday or Wednesday, you need to select your open house. We'll talk a little bit more about that. How do you get your open house? There's some ways to do it, but you want to try to get it as early as you can in the week because you need to prepare for the open house. There's some things you need to do to have a great open house. So the earlier you get that open house on your schedule, the better prepared you will be to do a great open house, okay? Wednesday, you begin advertising open houses online. Use your Facebook page, okay? That's a good way to do it. All of your contacts, you can go to a lot of sources, whoever you got, and put that open house out there that you're going to do, okay? Be prepared in this market, though. If the house sells before your open house does occur, you can go back to those same people that you posted to and said, hey, the house really sold fast, but I would love to help you out if you're looking at coming to, if you want help in finding a house, then you can at least connect that way. Because sometimes those people that may have been wanting to come to that open house, they may not have a realtor. So it's another way to connect with people, okay? On Thursday, it says you want to call the seller if it's occupied to introduce yourself and ask if there's anything special you should know about the home. This is really important. When you get to an open house and you're doing the open house, you want to make sure that you familiarize yourself with that house. Not only the inside of the house, but the outside of the house. If it's an occupied home, if you call the owner, usually they're more than happy to give you all the information they think is important to know about that house. The other thing you can do is just set up an appointment, come by and look at their house, okay? Oftentimes, there's been some updates with the house. They may have done some landscaping in the back. They may have done some work in their garage. There's all kinds of things you can do in a house or a property to make that property shine. So if you call the homeowner, you can always ask to swing by and just see the home, okay? If the home is unoccupied, I would encourage you to schedule a showing yourself, but do it through showing time. There's so few houses on the market right now that if you just drop by like we used to could and go in there and look at the house, you may be backing into other people or moving forward into other people that are seeing that home. So go ahead and schedule a quick showing time visit. Go out and see the house. Familiarize yourself with the house. Go ahead and take your print out the sheet from the MLS so you can see the description of the house. So when you walk in the door, you can look at room sizes. You can look at different room descriptions, whether it's got an office or a library, whatever it might be, you'll have that description with you when you walk in the house. So you want to take your time, go through the house as if you're taking a client into the house to show the house. So look at every room, turn on every light, because you're going to be showing the home. So you need to take a look at it. Sometimes I've been in open house situations where I went in to do the open house and the light bulb's out. Okay, that looks bad. So if you go in and see the open house home on that Thursday or Friday, whenever you can do it, then sometimes you can call the owner or call the listing agent and basically say, hey, we've got some bulbs out in the house. Maybe it needs to be tidied up, may need to be cleaned a little bit. So you want that home to shine because you want the homeowner to be able to sell that house. And they're going to sell it more than likely in our market, but you want the house to look really good. Okay, on Friday, this is very important for you to know. Friday is when you put out the signage on your home, your open house signs. You can't do it before Friday. Okay, so Friday about 12 o'clock, 12:30, you can go out there and start putting your signs out. Now, the caveat to that is this. As soon as you know that house is going to have an open house, you can go ahead and put the riders out. The riders are the 4-inch strips that go on top of a sign, or it goes crosswise on a sign. It says open house 2 to 4 Sunday or Saturday, whichever day you're going to do it. So as soon as you declare that house is an open house, you can go out there and put the riders out there. okay? You can do anything in the yard, you just can't do it outside of the yard until Friday, okay? Now, usually when you put signs out, you're gonna put them in places where people are gonna drive by, right? Not in the city of Madison. City of Madison has some rules, and they're $500 rules, okay? That means if you take and put signs out on major roads, thoroughfares, or whatever, the city of Madison will actually fine you $500, okay? So you kind of need to know that. You can put the signs inside the subdivision. You can put directionals all over if the subdivision will let you do it. That's another thing you need to find out. Some subdivisions won't let you put out directional signs out there. If you don't know, call the listing agent and ask them. If they don't know, if you pick up the MLS sheet that you've got, there's going to be an HOA contact, the subdivision. So call the HOA person, just ask them. They will know. It's better to know ahead of time than to put out your signs, have someone pick them up and throw them in a trash can, and maybe get a bad call from someone. So you need to check on that just to make sure. Signs cost a little money, and I've had signs pulled and tossed, and I didn't know why. One time I did know why, but it was more of an oversight on my part. It wasn't something that was done purposely. Day 5 and 6, Saturday or Sunday, traditionally 95% of open houses, and I'm throwing that statistic out loosely, but the far and wide, the majority of open houses is on Saturdays and Sundays. Sundays tend to be the biggest, Saturdays not so much. We do see open houses sometimes at other days. There's no reason why you can't do it at other times. You just can't put that signage out there. You have to put them out the day of that open house if you're going to do an open house on a Wednesday. Thursdays tend to be a really good day if it's a busy neighborhood. You don't have to do open houses on Saturday and Sunday. If you do an open house and it's not yours and you choose a different day, make sure you talk to the listing agent. There may be reasons why they don't want to have it done on other days, but there's sometimes it's actually good to do it on other days, okay? Day 7 or 8, that's a Monday or Tuesday. That's your follow-up on your open houses, okay? And I'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so let's dive into it a little bit more, okay? How do you get an open house? If you don't have a listing, how do you find an open house, all right? Well, it used to be, before this crazy market we're in, there'd be a lot of open houses, a lot of open house opportunities. There's a big whiteboard in our office behind Sarah's office up front, and by our mailboxes, there's a whiteboard back there. And usually as the week would go by, you'd see people put the open house properties on that board. Now, a lot of times they would go all the way across and you'd see who's going to do it, but sometimes it would be open. And if it was open, you could always call that listing agent. A great way to do it is as you come on board and you start working with Keller Williams and you start being mentored by someone, or you start asking questions to a realtor, sometimes you can connect with that specific realtor, okay? Start talking to them and just asking them, okay? If they've got an open house, they would be willing to let you do. That's a good way of doing it. The other good way of doing it is use the Keller Williams Facebook app, okay? So just go into our Facebook app or Keller Williams Madison and just say, hey, is anybody doing an open house this weekend? Love to do it. But before you get to that point, you really need to shadow someone that's doing an open house. So you want to do the same thing on the Facebook app. You want to just basically say, I'd like to shadow someone. I want to go out and watch someone do the open house. Right now in the market that we're in, a lot of the open houses are actually being done by the listing agents. They will actually do that open house. So some of them don't do it at all. Some do it. You just need to put that out there and have an opportunity, at least shadow the open house, because you may be able to shadow an open house listing agent that's actually doing it and make a connection that way. So that's how you want to do it. You know, hopefully we're going to see a lot more homes and we'll have a lot more open houses and we'll have a lot more opportunities. But right now we're just kind of working hard to get those listings. Okay. Now, once you get the open house, hopefully earlier in the week, Wednesday or Thursday, you want to promote your open house. Okay. So you can promote it in a lot of different ways, but the best way is social media right now. It used to be, you'd go out there, I know this seems like 100 years ago, but it's not, it's only a year ago. You door knock the community, okay? The rule of thumb used to be 5 and 5 and 10 on the houses on the other side. But when I would door knock a community in an open house, I would literally set aside hours to door knock the entire community. It was really good, except for July and August was pretty bad. Sometimes winter was rough, but I door knocked the entire neighborhood if I could. And I would, sometimes people would open their door, sometimes they wouldn't. Sometimes you would see things in there like no solicitation, don't even think about it. You'd see some real funny no solicitations. But the bottom line is you're going to honor whatever that person says at the door. So hopefully those opportunities will come back and you can door knock again. But social media right now is the best way to do it. You can text your friends directly. You can email people. There's lots of ways you can do that, but it won't be door knocking right now. It's not the way we're doing it. Hopefully that's going to change pretty soon. Okay. All right. Now I talked a little bit about open house signs. If you're going to do open houses, and hopefully you will, you need to go ahead and get some signs. You need to have some yourself. There's several different places you can get them. You can talk to the front office. Tennessee Valley is one. There's another office here in Huntsville. Tennessee Valley will actually make the signs for you. And I think they still deliver it to the office on Fridays. Nice thing about them is they have free delivery. Tennessee Valley is not even here in the Huntsville area. I think it's over in Scottsboro. But they'll actually deliver your signs. If you go online and take a look at it, what they have, you can actually call someone and talk to them. If you do a sign, you do open house signs, make sure at least you put your name on it, okay? Because you're trying to promote yourself as well as doing the open house. So make sure if you're going to buy a sign, don't just buy a house sign that says open house. Make sure you put your name on there somehow, your name and at least a phone number, okay? Because when you put those signs out there, you may get some calls off your signs. Now, it's not your listing, it doesn't matter. It's your sign for that listing. So you can do it that way. Another way you can always go to the listing agent and ask the listing agent if they have a few signs you can use. But you're going to need to buy your own signs. It's just they're not that expensive, but you need to buy, I'd say at least 4 or 5 to begin with, because you're going to need to have a sign in the yard, a rider of some sort, at least a simple rider. And then from there, you're going to need to have one at the end of the streets on both ends and the streets leading in there and the subdivision off the main road, except for the city of Madison. Now, in the city of Madison, going back to signs, you need to call the HOA to ask this, but usually nice subdivisions have like flower beds or entry areas. Those areas are off the road, so they're actually inside the subdivision. I usually call an HOA. If I don't know for sure, I'll call an HOA contact person and say, listen, we're going to do an open house. Would you mind if I put a sign up there? Sometimes they'll tell you they don't want it in a flower bed. You can put it a little further in on both sides. That's fine. But you want to honor what they tell you. You want to be a friend to the friends. So you want to make sure you're doing it the right way. So you get invited back. You don't want to get kicked out of the subdivision. The other thing I encourage people to do on your signs, you're going to put some directionals out. Now, in a lot of subdivisions, it's very obvious when you put a subdivision directional sign. There'll be a stop sign, there'll be a strip of green grass, there'll be a sidewalk, and then there'll be a yard. Occasionally, there's not a sidewalk, there's a stop sign, okay? So I will usually go up to the owner's house and knock on the door and say, listen, we've got an open house this Sunday down the street at so-and-so address. Would you mind if I put an open house sign right here in the corner? It's going to be from 2 to 4 on Sunday. I promise I'll pick it up afterwards because I don't want you to throw my sign away. And I'll give them my card. I have never had anybody, well, one person wouldn't let me do it, and only because he was renting the house and he couldn't give me the approval. I just went across the street, knocked on that guy's house. He said, sure, okay. But it's just a good idea to do that. So when you do the open houses, you want to make sure that you have friends, okay? We always want to be a friend in the neighborhood. And I think, I want to pronounce your name. I think this is Rosalind. Is that right? Rosalind Parks. Welcome. We just started. How you doing? Okay. I see you now. You
Hi.
got your mask for this. I don't know if anybody told you, Rosalind, but you don't need your mask for the Zoom meeting. If you want to wear it, you just go ahead, girl. That's fine with me. Anyhow, my name is Don Stiles. I am a realtor here with Keller Williams. And, there are some handouts, Rosalind, that you can get access to, okay? So they're going to be somewhere on your screen. Just print them out later. I'm just kind of going through them one at a time, okay? So if you have any questions, you can always contact me directly later, but we're just kind of going through the process right now, okay? All right, so here we go. We're moving along. We're talking about signage. We're talking about the importance of it, okay? All right, let's talk about preparation for your open house. You definitely want to print out the MLS agent form. So you go to the multiple listing service, you go in there, you pull up the property, and you want to go ahead and print out that MLS agent description of that property. You really want to know the property. The last thing you want to do is an open house and someone come up to you and say, hey, what about that garage out back, the detached garage? And it's like, well, I didn't know we had a detached garage back there. Wow. You know, so you want to make sure you really look at the property well. You want to go upstairs if there's any storage off of that space or anything like that. But print out the MLS sheet. It's oftentimes going to not just have a room dimension, but it's going to tell you what that room is. They may not be calling that a library. That may be called an office. So you want to match your Vanna White showing of the house with the description in the MLS. That's very important. Okay. What I will usually do is if I'm going to do an open house, I will also personally go into the MLS and print out the consumer one. There's a consumer one in there, and that one will keep things out of it like phone numbers, you know, if there's a lock number, if there's a security code, you don't want to hand that to the guys coming to the house. So you want to make sure that the one you print out is a consumer one, okay? The other thing you can do, if you want to do this, some of the realtors have flyer boxes out there. Sometimes there's not a lot of flyers, sometimes there's a lot. I will usually pull one of the flyers myself and go ahead and print out 10 or 12 extra ones. You know, if you don't want to do it off the MLS, go ahead and print out their flyers, okay? I had an open house here about a year ago, and I had 93 people come to the open house. That was during the pandemic. I was more of a traffic cop than I was a realtor. It's like, okay, if you're coming in the door, you guys go that way. If you're leaving, you guys come this way. So we had a lot of people at the open house. So I ran out of flyers, ran out of a lot of flyers. So I printed mine. I gave all mine away. I went out to the box out there. I gave all of them away. But anyhow, that house had multiple offers. It sold pretty quickly. But you want to come prepared. So make sure you print out some flyers, okay? You need to do something to collect data, okay? You're there to help sell the house, no doubt. You want that listing agent and a client to have a great experience because they're taking the time to leave that house. You know, they're grabbing the kids, they're throwing them in the car, they got the dog, so you want to do a good job, okay, when you do the open house. So, but you also are there to capture leads. Open houses are a great place to get leads, all right? Well, you can't capture a lead unless you write down who they are, okay? So you can create whatever form you would like to capture leads. Now, I have this little, I guess it's a 5x7 index card, and it's got Keller Williams on the top, okay? And it's got other information on this card. It's got a lot of information. A lot of people won't bother filling out half of what's on here. Some people will. I've had people sit down and meticulously fill out every inch of the card, but really it's got their name, the cell phone, the email, their home address. What did you like best about the home? What did you like least about the home? You're capturing some information about the house and what they thought about the house. So that's important for the home seller to get that information. So you're going to collect that data. There's also a side that says How'd you find out about the open house? You know, real simple little, was it Zillow, directional signs, Trulia? Did you get lost in a neighborhood? You just knocking on the door to ask for directions, you know? So you're asking them how they got to the open house, okay? So you'll ask them to fold it, stick it in the box. You also tell them this, it's totally up to you. But when I do an open house, I usually give away a gift card, not an expensive gift card. If it's a hot summer, nasty day, I'll do something like from one of the local ice cream shops. I'll maybe do 2 or 3 $10 cards, okay? And I'll tell them, hey, I'm gonna give these cards to somebody. If no one takes them, I'm gonna take them home and use it myself. So I can't give them away unless you give me some information. And I'll just mail it to you if we pull your name, okay? Most of the time, people will go ahead and fill out a card. And they'll at least give you some information. If you're gonna do that, make sure you give away the cards. So if you're gonna give away cards at an open house, you wanna make sure that you give them away. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. Now, if you got a really nice house, ice cream cards may not cut it. You may have to have a nice restaurant, just a $25 card, you know, something just that sort of matches that house. You don't have to do this. I have found personally that if you give away something and you attach a requirement to it, most people will at least put their name on it, and they'll put a phone number or an email. They'll do something so that you can contact them and give them that information. Now, you're going to be busy at an open house these days. I just think you're going to be. There's just not that many houses on the market. Sometimes you can get caught up with one person that has a bunch of questions about the house. And sometimes it's hard to be personal with everybody walking in that door. It just is. Other than saying hi and give them a flyer and tell them a little bit about the house, that one person over here is going to be asking you 101 questions. And you may be calling the agent, you may be calling the client to get information because they want to know information about it. They really like the house. So what I have found out is you want to at least capture the number of people that come in the house. A lot of clients just want to know, hey, how many people came? So what I do is I take one of these cards or another document, a piece of paper, and I flip over on the back of the card and I just simply put RAC. R means realtor, A means adult, and C means children. So whether they fill out a card or not, I've learned that sometimes people just want to know who was at the house. So I've done that because one time I miscounted by 3 people, and the homeowner had a Ring doorbell. And so they could see everybody coming in the house. And when they came back to the house after the showing, I was leaving, and I happened to tell them, you know, I think there was about 10 people that came. Well, there was 7, okay? So they were upset and told the other listing agent that I didn't know what I was talking about. I wasn't paying attention. You know, it wasn't meant to overinflate numbers. It was just a bad guess, okay? So if you'll do this, you can always tell them, hey, listen, I had 3 realtors come through. They had clients. They didn't have clients. They just dropped by. I had 20 adults, and I had about 10 children. That tells them the adults, these are families, okay? Had little kids. Kids didn't come in by themselves. They came with the adults. So sometimes it helps to have that information. So I just literally flip over the card. Doesn't matter what you use, but you want to collect that information so that you can contact them right after the open house. When's the best time to contact them? If you get through on a Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock, and by the time you get home, it's around 5, and you have at least email address information, shoot them an email. If you have a phone number, I usually don't call around dinner time on a Sunday, but I will text them or I'll send an email saying, hey, thank you so much for coming to the open house. Truly enjoyed you being here. If you have any questions about this home or any other home that you see, please let me know. There's a little place on the bottom of this card that says, are you working with a realtor? Okay. If they're working with a realtor, I'll still send them a thank you. Thank you for coming. If your realtor has any questions, please have them contact the listing agent directly. So I still want to reach out and touch, but I'm not trying to bring them to me. I'm just saying thanks a lot. And once again, please have your realtor contact Ollie McDonald or contact me. if you have any questions. I'll be glad to pass on any information that you may have. And so it's just a good way to keep that contacts up, so no matter how you do it, okay? All right. And before the pandemic, it was easy to do things like refreshments and cookies and all that stuff. Don't bring any food right now. Just don't bring it, okay? I don't even bring water bottles in the house anymore. Most people are not going to take them. If you give them, it's just a good idea right now not to even bring that stuff. Now, later on, when this is all said and done, Lord willing, sooner than later, at that point, you can do those. You can do some simple stuff. You don't have to go overboard with refreshments. You're not doing a realtor open. You're just inviting the public to come to the house. So we get to that point, we'll talk about it. But usually with refreshments, you're talking about cookies. You don't want to, just for your information, do not get a white cookie that has red, white, and blue sprinkles on it, because you're going to be going through the house with a dustpan, sweeping up red, white, and blue sprinkles. Done it. Don't do it. I'll tell you, it's no fun going back and cleaning up the properties. So anyhow, hopefully that time will come. Refreshments on this thing, it says no alcohol. I have never brought alcohol or wine or anything like that to an open house. Just as a reminder, just simply don't do that, okay? Now, when you do the open house, it's a little bit different now because of the pandemic, okay? I'm gonna tell you what I do, and it's just something I always do. I come to the open house about an hour before the open house. You wanna get there early. Don't show up for the open house, for 2 o'clock open house at 1:45. Not a good idea, okay? It's just because you're gonna find that you're really too rushed to get the house prepared. You've already talked to the realtor probably, or you talked to the owner, or you've done your preview, you've gone by the house, so you know what it looks like, okay? So what I usually do is I go ahead and bring a little card table. I bring stuff that I'm gonna take with me when I leave. So I'll bring in a card table, so when you walk in the door, there will be an entrance, either a foyer. A lot of homes have a living room on one side, I'm sorry, a dining room on one side, maybe an office on another. And you sort of have an open place where you can go through, okay? So let me get rid of Quicken here. I don't know where they came from. But what I usually will do is I'll set the card table on one side or the other, okay? And then what I'll do is I'll put a basic cloth on it, table cover, and then I'll go ahead and put the flyers. The ones I mentioned to you, I will print them out and go ahead and lay them on the card table. And I'll kind of spread them out so people can just grab one as they come in. I'll put my card, my business card right next to it. And then the other thing I'll put on that table is hand sanitizer. I'll get the kind that you can just squish down and put in your hands. The other thing I'll do is go ahead and bring in the little hand wipes, the sanitizing wipes. I'll pop the lid on it, pull one out, okay? I like those because a lot of people like to open cabinets and cabinet doors so they can grab a wipe, put it in their hand, and use that to open the doors in the house. But before they even do that, when I walk into the house and set up the table, I'll take those wipes and I'll go through the house and I'll wipe down all the doorknobs, all the pulls, everything that people could be opening up. If the house is empty, and I know it's empty, and it's got lots of cabinets, I will literally go into the house and open some cabinets. A lot of people don't, even these days, they don't like to open the cabinets. But if it's got 8 cabinets up there, probably 2 of them are going to look like the rest of the 6. So I will open a couple of cabinets. I'll actually open a couple of drawers. I will do some things for people who really are very sensitive to touching anything. So I'll go through the whole house and I'll wipe down the banister, okay? The other thing I'll do is if it's got a nice, like a granite countertop, or not even granite, but a countertop, I'll wipe down that countertop where I'm going to set something. Like we talked about these cards, I don't put the registration cards on that table. It's too busy. So I will go into the house, go to the kitchen, wipe down a surface. I'll set my cards there and some business cards. I'll put a little can or a container or a nice little tray. And then that way they can sign it, drop it in the tray, and they know that that area is clean. And I'll tell them I've cleaned that area. So I'll leave a pin and everything for them. If it looks like it's gonna be a really busy open house, I'll find 2 places to put those. So I'll put one over here and I'll go over here maybe 8 feet away and I'll put another one over there. That way you don't have people standing, waiting for someone to get completed with signing, because they're not gonna wait. They're not gonna wait. Not today. If somebody's over there signing and filling out a card, that person is not gonna stand there, even for a $10 gift card probably. So I will go ahead and set up one corner of a kitchen counter, and I'll go all the way around and set it up some other place. The other thing I might do is I just put it on the dining room table. I'll clean off a hard surface, set one over there, okay? So that's the one thing I do as far as helping them get the information they need to do the open house. That way you don't feel like you're having to hand it to them, because unless you're wearing gloves, a lot of people don't wear gloves these days. I don't. I just set up everything and I get away and let them grab everything they need to have, okay? When they walk in the door, I go over basic CDC guidelines, okay? I'll tell them I'll wipe down the countertop. I'll tell them this table is clean. I'll tell them here's some hand sanitizer. Here's the wipes. Where you got to fill out these cards, it's all clean. I've wiped down all the pools when I first got here. So to make them feel safer. And I'll also tell them, please maintain your 6-foot distance. If they come in there and they don't have a mask on, they can't come in the house. It's real cheap to buy a box of those masks. You can get them now. They're not, you can go to different places, Staples, business supply places, Walmart, a lot of places carry them. So it's a good idea to bring a supply and put it there, because you don't want to have somebody not come to the open house because they didn't have a mask. Those little disposable masks are not that expensive. And probably 20 people come in your door, 1 or 2 may need one, okay? So it's okay to just spend a little money, make sure they can get in the house so they can see the open house. You taking the time to be there, you taking time to show the house, you're taking the time to clean it up, let them all come in. So just pick up one of those things, it's a good idea. All right, so that's how I kind of basically do it there. Just other information on the day of the open house, the form in here that you're going to look at says come at 1:15 to 1:30, 30 to 45 minutes before the open house. You just can't do an adequate job, in my opinion, for that open house if you get there a half an hour before. You just got to set it up. You got to clean it up. The other thing you want to do is you want to walk through the house, and especially if it's occupied and they've got kids, because anybody's had kids and you're trying to get out the door, you know, kids leave stuff all over. So I'll go through the house, and if there's toys on the floor, if there's clothes laying around, I will, you know, kind of tidy up a little bit, bring some gloves, you know, but I will make sure things look nice, okay? The house doesn't, you know, you may have to sweep up a few things. It's always a good idea to keep a dustpan and a broom in the back of your car. You may need it. So you want to do that and carry your own bag, okay? It's just a good idea to do that. So the house looks nice and tidy for folks. I've even washed dishes, you know. I'll wash a dish or two. Don't let my wife tell you I won't. So I've washed dishes, I've cleaned the counters, I've done things to make the house look really nice to be prepared for a great open house, okay? So you want to come early. You want to dress appropriate for an open house. You don't need to be in a 3-piece suit, but you want to dress so that when people come in, they know that you're serious about your job, okay? I have been in houses before where the houses were kind of warm, and I've been running like crazy getting all this stuff out. I put the signs out, and I am soaking wet. I brought extra shirts. I have. Not extra clothes, just a shirt, because I want to make sure my clothes are neat and clean, especially if you've had to put some signs out too. One of the things I didn't mention about signage, but if you want your open house to look different than guys across the street, because they may have one too, they may have lucky listing across the street, go down to Dollar General and buy yourself some balloons, okay? You can go anywhere you want to, but at Dollar General for $1.50, you can get the Mylar balloons, okay? The red, gold, white, or black, I believe, the colors we can use. Don't get green, don't get purple, don't get yellow. Those are the other guys. So red and gold work great. If it's a sunny day and you've got those balloons tied on at the entrance to the subdivision, you can see that Mylar way away. It really sparkles in the sunlight. And for $1.50, I usually buy about 4 balloons. I'll put one at the main entrances. I usually put one at the home and tie it onto the post. And sometimes I'll add another one. If it's a big subdivision and I think people could get lost getting into the subdivision, I may put another one out, okay? Remember, if you get them, tie them on really good, and you might want to take an extra piece of tape and put the tape where the string goes to the balloon, because sometimes I found out that when I come back, I've got a piece of string and no balloon. But those are a good way of doing it because you want to draw some extra attention. And believe me, when we get back to somewhat normal and people start having more open houses, that little red sparkly balloon does make a difference. So that's something you can also do. All right, so you're driving up to the house, you get to the house, and the front door is wide open. That door's not supposed to be open in that house, especially if it's vacant. You don't want to go in that house. You want to call the listing agent. Say, hey, listen, I noticed the door was open when I got here, okay? And they may tell you, I just left. I had a bunch of stuff in my hands. I thought I pulled that door completely closed. It's up to you in that discussion with him. But you never want to get to an open house and there's a window open or a window's broken or something's not right. Call the listing agent, tell them, and right after that, if you can't make heads or tail of it, you're probably going to call the police and have them come out and look at the house, okay? Don't ever put yourself in a position. You want to listen to that little voice back here, okay? When that voice is telling you there's something not right, okay, you want to pay attention to it, okay? I've known people that were agents that would bring their husband with them when they came to the open house, just to make sure, open it up, go through the house, make sure everything's all cool, and say, okay, we're good, come back in a couple hours, but don't, pay attention to anything that doesn't look right about the house when you get there. Never go into a house if you're not comfortable. Call the listing agent, okay? I went to an open house, I guess a couple of years ago, and the garage door was open, okay? So I called the listing agent, and the owner was having some work done in the house, okay? And actually, it wasn't for the open house. I went there for the preview. And it was late in the day. I went for the preview. It was supposed to be unoccupied. The garage door was wide open. So I called the listing agent, and he called and checked the owner. The owner called because the handyman had just left the house and didn't close the garage door. Okay, so left 5 minutes ago. Okay, in that particular case, I did not feel uncomfortable. I walked up to the door, opened the door, yelled in the door, and went in the door, looked around very carefully, made sure I closed that garage door. And that's what all that happened was something like that. But never take a chance. You just never want to take a chance to stay in time we live in. Okay. When you go into a house and you're going to do the open house, you want the house to look great. Okay. So you want to go in there and open up the blinds, a lot of light. Get that light in that house. Okay. Turn on those lights. Turn them all on. Okay. Unless the homeowner has told you, when you turn that light on, my meter goes. Don't turn that one on. I've been in homes before where I did not know, but they didn't want certain lights on the house. I had no idea. So they came back in and said, why'd you turn those lights on? I said, well, there's a switch over there. But that's why sometimes it pays to talk to the homeowner before you do the open house. There may be little things about the house that they want you to be aware of. Sometimes it's like, don't turn those lights on, okay? So go through the house. Turn on all the lights. If it's a hot summer day, I'll even turn on the fans on the back porch on the outside. So people can go, wow, it's hot today, but I see those fans spinning. That's kind of cool. So I will make the house pop as best I can and make it look as inviting as possible. Remember this, when you leave the house, make sure you leave the house the way you found it. Okay? Little things, for example, is the door that goes from the garage into the house. If it was unlocked, don't lock it back. A lot of times people, that's how they come into the house. The owner may come in the house that way. They park in the garage, they come that way. And if you lock that door, that may be the way they're getting in the house. May have the garage door opener. The wife may have the key for some reason or some goofy thing, and that's all they have is the garage door opener. Or they may have told somebody to drop off something at the house and just that gave them the garage door opener. So make sure you don't lock that garage door, okay, if it's open. The other thing is when you go to leave, make sure before you lock that key up in that lockbox, you go around and make sure the lights are off in the house. I can't tell you how many times I have locked the doors on an open house, sat in my car, cranked my car up and looked up and seen a garage door, a garage light on, okay? Or one on the side. And then I have to go back in the house and figure out which switch it was. So now I have to open up the lockbox again, go back in the house, and then the showing time is going to send me 2 notices. Hey, how'd you like the house? How'd you like it the first time? And 5 minutes later, how'd you like that one? You know, so remember, when you crack that box, you're going to get a notice. Somebody's going to know you're in that house. So make sure you check all the lights before you go. Make sure you lock all the doors, okay? You want to make sure that every door in that house has been checked at least 2 or 3 times before you leave. And the reason why is you may have people that come to that open house late and you're leaving, okay? And as you're leaving, you've locked that back door. Someone walks in that door at 4:02. Well, you're going to kick them out? You have an appointment. You may have to tell them, listen, I'm leaving, I'm closing up. I'd love to show you this house. Can we make an appointment for me to see that house? If you're not in that big of a hurry, they may go in and look at it. You could be finishing up something in a box and they can open that back door to look at the backyard and you can leave and leave that back door open. So make sure you close and lock up everything in the house, okay? Make sure before you leave, you look in all the rooms. You know, make sure that somebody hasn't left the water on or they maybe used the toilet. You didn't know about it, but now it's like, whoa, where'd that come from? You know, flush that toilet. You don't want homeowners to come back home and have unpleasant surprises because you will get a phone call, okay? So make sure you check out the house, make sure it looks great. If they've got a detached garage, okay, you want to make sure if that door was open, if there was a garage door opener and you used it to open that door for that open house, and maybe the garage sits back on the property a little bit and there's a side entrance and you can't see it from the street, you want to make sure you go back and close that garage door, okay? You don't want to leave a garage open and unlocked if you're supposed to close it. In short, you want the house to look exactly like you left it, okay? So when you gather all your stuff up, make sure you don't leave anything. I have left my computer a couple of times. I had to come back and get it. Went all the way home, 20 minutes, and realized I didn't have my computer, my laptop. Drove all the way back to the house. Now it's dark. Go in the house, go find it, come back. So take your time before you leave. Make sure you take everything when you leave, okay? Another thing you want to do, now folks, I'm telling on myself a little bit today, and I always do. So please don't use this against me, but I will tell you there's some funny moments when you do open houses. One of them has to do with open house signs. Make sure if you put a sign out, you go get it, okay? You want to pick up all your open house signs. I live kind of in the Harvest area, and I did an open house out there one time, and I thought I had gotten all my signs. And I had a sign that didn't have my name on it. It just said Open House Keller Williams. I have no idea where I got that from, but I had one. And so there was an open house sign that I had stuck next to a stop sign. And for about a month, I drove past that sign. And I kept thinking, I wish that guy would pick that sign up. And finally, I said, I'm going to pick it up. Maybe there's a name on it. And I went over and picked it up, and lo and behold, it was my sign. I had forgotten the sign. And so I drove past that sign for a solid month before I realized I was the guy. So anyhow, it's a good idea to pick up your signs, go through it, because you don't want to throw away money. And some places you can actually get fined if you leave your sign out too long, okay? So you want to make sure you pick up all your signs, okay? Now, you've got everything, you checked it out, you brought everything with you, you took everything out with you, you closed the whole house up. Now, you got a list of names, okay? The other instruction you may get from the listing agent or from the seller is, hey, can you call me and let me know how it went, okay? Make sure you call them and let them know how it went, okay? You may not be able to give them an immediate report about everything that everybody said on these cards, but you might be able to say, hey, I had 2 realtors, I had 10 adults, had 4 or 5 kids come through. The interest was really nice. They had a couple of questions about a few things. You know, but I was able to answer those questions for them. It's a great showing. We had a great time. Okay. If there's somebody really had a great interest in the home, we want to tell them that. Don't make it more than what it is, but tell them. If somebody said they really like the house, they're going to get with their realtor and they're going to try to come back a little later in the week. Well, you've captured that information. So you can go ahead and contact the realtor and say, hey, listen, Bill Smith was here. He loved the open house. He said he was going to give you a call and possibly come back and look at the house again. Okay. All that information just essentially shows that you've gone the extra mile. You've done your due diligence. And the last thing is you want to follow up with these names. Okay. You want to go ahead and call them. Call them up, talk to them. If there's a phone number, I don't do Sunday night calls. I will call on Monday. If they leave an address, go ahead and send them a thank you card. Sometimes people will actually give you an address. They may not give you anything else, but they may give you their home address. And go ahead and write a thank you card and send it off to them. If you had a drawing, make sure you do your drawing and then drop the card into an envelope with a thank you card and send it on to them. Okay. It's just being professional. It's doing the right thing. And that's really that's how I do an open house. So does anybody have any questions? Alicia, Claudine, Rosalind, do you have any questions about anything? Okay, more than likely you will.
I have one question. Do you do virtual open houses?
I don't. I'm talking. I do. I'm a buyer's agent for the Holly McDonald team.
Okay.
And right now things are now if you have an individual client and they can't come, you can do a virtual showing for them. But I haven't had the opportunity to do a virtual open house. I know some people do it, but the thing about doing a traditional open house, it lets you hone your skills, especially as a new agent, but it gives you an opportunity to meet the public and talk to them. So that's what I do. That's how I do it when I'm working with someone. Claudine, did you have a question?
No.
Okay, you got unmuted. That's why I was asking. Listen, there's going to be more open houses coming. Right now, it's a little tight. If you have any questions about anything, grab one of the realtors around here at Keller Williams. They're always very, very good to answer questions. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you might have after this. Make sure that once you get your training done, check around, shadow some realtors. And if you shadow 2-3 realtors, guess what? They're going to do it all a little bit different. Okay. Some of them will do certain things a little different. Others may spend a little bit more time on some other aspects of the open house. But it's good. It's a good idea to get a flavor of how people do things. And you want to be your own realtor. You're going to have your own style. You just are. You know, there's only one Claudine. There's only one Alicia. There's only one Rosalind. So you guys are going to do it your way. Just make sure you include the Keller Williams structure in it, because there's some things you've just got to do. Okay. All right. If you guys have no questions, just tell you thank you for coming. I look forward to meeting you. I don't know if I've met everybody. I think.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Y'all have a great afternoon. You're welcome. And good luck in the future. Okay. Hope you get a lot of people at your open house.
Thank you, Don. That was great.
You're welcome. Y'all take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, have a great evening.
Bye-bye.